Hi, it's Greg from Grommet, and welcome to another Meet the Maker interview where you get behind-the-scenes access to learn why incredible makers, inventors, and small business owners just like you have gone through all of the trouble, the obstacles, and the roadblocks to put their products into the marketplace to help people like you to live a little better. And in today's episode, we have an incredible interview with one of Grommet's favorites, Marcia Reece. Marcia is the founder and inventor of StayWell Copper, one of the most popular products on Grommet's new platform. Now, the cool thing here is you're going to learn a lot about Marcia's story and how one day, talking with her kids, she came up with the idea for chalk that you could use to write on the sidewalk. Yes, sidewalk chalk. You're going to hear all about this journey, how she was one of the first toy inventors into Walmart that turned into national distribution, and how ultimately this led to creating StayWell Copper, her current product. I cannot wait for you guys to hear her stories, learn about her journey, and see what it's been like launching on the brand new Grommet. So without any further ado, let's check out this conversation with Marcia Reece from StayWell Copper. Marcia, how did we start this whole StayWell Copper brand? Tell me the origin story of how this came to be.
Oh, wow, Greg, this goes back mid-last century. I've been a lifelong product inventor. I've always learned as a kid growing up on an Iowa hog farm, we didn't have much fancy stuff. If we wanted something, we had to make it ourselves. And so I learned how to create early on. And then I became a young mother, and my kids, I wouldn't let them have battery toys. So we did a lot of arts and crafts, back to school, fun kind of educational activities for our play stuff. And that led to my first product I ever invented that I took to the marketplace, which you may know about. I invented sidewalk chalk, and in 1981, didn't know a thing about how to sell. I didn't know what FOB meant. I didn't know what COD meant. There were no computers. There were no fax machines. This was back dirt roads in Iowa. And I came up with this great formulation that wouldn't stain my daughter's clothes. It wouldn't stain her hands, because the only chalk available then was that little thin blackboard chalk that came out of China, and it was dusty and broke and it was full of lead. So I wanted to find a better way to make chalk. That was what started my lifelong love of creating products. So I made it for my kids and their friends were asking me to make more, and one thing led to another. And then my son came out in March of 1981 and said, "Mom, show us how to make the sidewalk chalk. We'll spend the money and we'll go back to Disney World," because we had taken our kids on a family trip to Disney World, which was a big deal for us. So I'm looking at these two cute little kids thinking, Disney World, sidewalk chalk, I'm missing the disconnect. So that was March of 81. Our church, the next day we went to church, and in the church bulletin, there was a little blurb at the bottom that said they wanted parishioners to bring in handicrafts and baked goods and sell them at a craft show to raise money for one of their causes. And I showed it to my son and said, "Ross, maybe this is where we should take your chalk." Because I had these two cute little kids. Can you see this picture, Greg?
Oh, we got it.
Those were my kiddos in the beginning of sidewalk chalk, way back when. At any rate, we weren't that sophisticated with our packaging. At the beginning, when we went to the church, we just had 3 colors of chalk in a Ziploc, like a bag, and they sold out immediately. A lady that was there asked me if I would bring the chalk to a craft show that she did called the Spring Fling. I did. Same thing happened. That ended up, we had 86 craft shows that year, and then stores started calling me. Well, I didn't even know what to do. So I went down to a place that just got torn down last year, the Denver Merchandise Mart, which breaks my heart that it's gone. And I went through the showrooms, and I'd never been in a wholesale buying environment. And it was just like a kid in a candy store. And so I started looking for packaging and different ideas, and I found everything I needed. Went into different showrooms and asked the reps, I got stores that want to buy my product. How do I do this? So they showed me wholesale order forms. They showed me told me about logical case packing and all the things that we needed to know. So by the time I got home, I had a company. The next day, I went to a yellow legal pad I was keeping with each store's name and phone number that had called me. And I called them to tell them we had product ready to ship. You aren't going to believe this, Greg. Every single name on that legal pad ordered sight unseen. So that truly launched our business. And then my son said, there's a few weeks going by here. My son said, Mom, Walmart says they only buy made in America. We need to sell them our chalk. We're the only one made in America. Now, at the time, Walmart had 66 stores, so they were not very big. And that started me calling Walmart every day for 46 mornings at 9 a.m., asking to speak with my buyer. On the 46th morning, I reached the secretary and she said, he is in the brand new distribution center we're building in Loveland, Colorado. If you can be there at 11 o'clock, he'll see you. Okay. And it was 9 o'clock. So I'm in my hair's in a ponytail. I'm probably in blue jeans and a sweatshirt. And back in those days, all meetings were nylons, suits, skirts and suits. And so I get my little sample bag ready and I drive up to Loveland. I'm so excited. I almost throw up in the parking lot. And this is what he saw. This is the first product Walmart ever bought. Colored dog poop on a card. Not very sophisticated. And that this one piece has been broken all these 50 years later. But this is what I wanted to share with your audience. This is how primitive something can start that turned out to be a huge, we had 72% global market share when I sold the company. We went so I did a 7-store test and they bought one gross of the 4-pack. And then I had a little box that had 6 sticks. So 288 pieces for each of these 7 stores. And we had to sell it because it was a guaranteed buyback. And so I had this idea. I made clown costumes for my kids and I got them the rainbow wigs. And then I asked all 7 stores if they would let us do a chalk contest in their parking lot. Well, back then, Walmart was nothing like it is today. And they were thrilled to have any attention. So we set up the parking lots at 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. I invited the local newspaper. I invited some quasi-famous little town person to judge the contest. And at the end of the 4th day, we were sold out of product. We did 9 restocks in a month. And then the buyer called me and said, Marcia, you need to come visit me. And he's looking at an old green and white sprocket-fed printout, and he's stroking his chin, and he says, I can't make sense of this. You've got the best-selling item in the toy department, and your packaging and your presentation suck. And I thought, So I said, well, tell me what I need to know. So he took me back in their planogram room, and he showed me blister packaging. Now, these are the same colored dog poop that were squirted out of pastry tubes, but at least now they're under a blister. They're sealed on a card. So then he gave me 14 stores to test this. And we were just in the process of coming out with molded shapes. You can see this is 2 dinosaurs. So we assorted Circus Dinosaur and My Pretty Pony. Then we went to this where the blister was all molded around each piece of product. The product you can see has our name molded into it. And then they gave me all 66 stores nationwide. And then another company that had a cool guy in Boulder, Colorado named Bob Charles. Bob Charles is the man who invented the Happy Meal and the drive-up window for fast food. And Bob Charles said, I want to have a meeting with you because I think you're ready for a Happy Meal promotion. 53 million Happy Meal promotions.
Holy moly.
Oh my gosh, you guys, that is so much chalk you can't even imagine. 53 million 3-packs. Oh, no wonder I have white hair and I'm old, but inside I'm still 23. So all of you people in Grommet land, don't let your dreams go, because whoever would have thought a little boy coming to his mom saying, teach us how to make sidewalk chalk for a trip to Disneyland would result in what I just told you. And then once we had Kmart or Walmart, we had Kmart, Toys R Us, Target. It went global, and it went fast. I opened 5 factories in one summer. I would sleep an hour or two and I would work for 70 or 80, sleep for an hour or two, work for 70 or 80. Oh, and guys, I have to share something. My phone just rang. It's a Grommet order. It's my happiest day. Thank you.
I love it. Now, how do we go from sidewalk chalk to StayWell Copper, right? That's a big leap, right? For helping your kids out, making some chalk, getting into Happy Meals in Walmart, to now really helping people with their health, making sure that they stay healthy. Obviously, this is something that is so important, especially me as a young father. You know, you want to keep the kids healthy. I want to keep them in school. I don't need them running around behind me while I'm working. Tell me about this transition and kind of the latest run of products and what you're trying to do with them.
Great. Well, once I got a taste of what bringing product to market was like, I knew I had found what I wanted to do the rest of my life. I loved it. It was hard work, harder than anything you can imagine. And I often tell people, I feel like my life has been the best of times, the worst of times, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's bad and ugly over here, and there's just the good time over here. So the good has to be really good to counteract the bad and ugly. But my next product to finish up chalk really quickly, on February 9th, 1990, I sold it to the world's largest toy company. And that was an amazing experience because I was a 36-year-old tall, white Western woman, and I'm selling this to a 64-year-old, 4'6" Japanese man who was 64 years old. And there were no women in his world. And it was the most humbling, humiliating, frustrating experience. But my attorney got me through it. But anyway, he wanted my company because I had complete distribution, and he wanted to put a little product called Power Rangers into my distribution. So I put together a 6-person team, and we brought Power Rangers into our kids' and that made another big hit. So then my next product was, back then we were just starting to have computers, and the keyboards used to be about this thick. And when you would type a long time, your wrist would get really, really sore from being cocked up to type. So I created a gel-filled wrist rest that went in front of the keyboard so your arms could rest on that and type away. Next product. That went fairly big. It got licensed worldwide to Case Logic. And then I've created a couple dozen more, I call them one-hit wonders, because you and I, Greg, like our baseball stories, but they weren't grand slams or home ones. They were a single, but still good products. And then I was traveling all over the world doing work for a lot of companies, developing and designing product, and I got sick. And as you can guess, when I do something, I don't do it little, I do it big. And I got really, really sick with a very deadly MRSA staph infection in the lowest part of my spine. And for 6 months, I was in and out of a hospital, fighting for my life. And I mean fighting for my life. I had final rites twice. I had to learn to walk again. I had 6 surgeries. I was very, very sick. Finally recovered. And when I did finally get well, I wanted it to be my work's mission to find a way to kill germs that didn't use drugs or chemicals, because the net of all the drugs they had given me intravenously, I had drugs for 6 months pumped into my body. It ruined my nails, my hair, and my skin. All the fast-growing cells were just destroyed. So here's what you'll get left with, but at least most of the body parts still work. So anyway, I went way back into the research as deep as I could on germs and how they talk to each other and how they mutate and how you can kill something that they're as programmed to survive as I wanted to program them to kill themselves. So it was a really fun challenge. And what I came up with was antimicrobial copper. Copper had been around since the Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Romans. And it has been proven with settled science to kill 99.97% of harmful bacteria and microorganisms. And that was when I knew what my product was going to be. And I knew that with copper, it was a soft, malleable metal. So I knew I could work with it. And now because I am not a metallurgist, now I had to figure out what product to make. And so I thought about the germiest things we touch all the time. And of course, the first thing was the cell phone. So we made these patches that go on the back of your phones. So when you are talking, texting, and touching, and this is what we touch more times a day than anything else, it's killing 99.97% of germs on your hands. So we came out with the phone patches. We came out with the roller, which you can rub between your hands. This one's on a chain, and I don't leave my house without mine around my neck. It goes with me everywhere I go. So when I'm needing to punch numbers in at a grocery store checkout or a gas station or an elevator, this copper roller becomes my clean finger, because copper is self-sanitizing. So even if this gets germs on it, it kills them itself. So, and it's all natural, made in America, and this one roller will last forever. It will never, never stop killing germs. So I knew I had found my next big passion, and it's been the ride of a lifetime.
I love a lot of the products that you've created have been because there was something that you needed to create, right? You needed to put it in the marketplace. You need the sidewalk chalk for your kids, the keyboard for you typing all those invoices out, just all the things. And then same with StayWell Copper. But I want to hear some of the stories that you hear from some of your shoppers, some of your customers who order the phone patches, who have the roller, who are using this. What do you hear from them? Because that obviously that's why we do it at the end of the day, right? We go crazy as small business owners, inventors, entrepreneurs, to get these things to market. What are some of these cool stories you've heard from people who have used some of the StayWell Copper products?
Well, I get wonderful calls that make my day. And I have to tell you, I've been doing this since 2016. I have not had a cold, and I have not had COVID. My husband has not. We did not get the boosters and shots and vaccines and all that crap because I don't trust it. I know my copper will keep me clean and safe. And the great thing is we don't get 2 product returns a year. People love our products because they are quality, and when they get them, it gives them that added protection. They don't have to smear the chemical sanitizers in their hands anymore. But I had one lady, her name is Taylor. She's out in Santa Cruz, California. She bought one of our rollers, and she had been a lifelong sinus infection sufferer. Every month she would get a sinus infection. So she would put her roller up her nose like a Q-tip every morning and night. And she has not had sinus infections at all, not a single one, since 2019. And that's a big breakthrough. I have another girlfriend, and she's a friend of mine. She was one of my early prototypers. Her father created the Etch-a-Sketch, which you probably remember that product. And Kay is all natural, all healthy. She doesn't have mammograms. She's a real all natural kind of girl. And she took the roller as she was starting to get a sore throat. When she gets sick, it always lands in her throat first. She could feel her throat getting sore. So she sucked on her roller like a lollipop for a half an hour. She's never had a single sore throat since. And since she told me that, neither have I. I have people who will call me and say, I was starting to feel like something was coming over me. I started accessing my copper, whether they rub it, roll it, suck it, use it in their nose, it went away. And that is exactly what it's supposed to do. We get 80% of our germs we carry on our hands. So if we keep our hands germ-free, we're ahead of the game. Most of the rest of our germs come up through our nose and our mouth. So if we can keep our hands and our nasal passages clear of germs, we're way ahead of the game. I have a teacher here who I gave these little dog tags hook onto backpacks for kids. I gave her class, one for each of the students, and I said, would you give me, this was 2 years ago, give me a report on how your classroom's health and wellness is versus the other second grade classes. And accidentally, by the miracle of copper, she didn't have one kid that winter did not go home with a flu or sick. So we know that it works. The biggest challenge is educating consumers because, Greg, you now have learned about StayWell, but I'm betting before we knew each other, you had no idea copper did this.
So let me ask this as a kind of a follow-up is, there was a lot of Grommet shoppers that upvoted your products. They were checking out your product page. If you had, 60 seconds to kind of, hey, this is why you need to vote for StayWell Copper, but not only vote, come to our website, give this thing a try. What would you tell Grommet shoppers to give them that? Obviously, it's 60-second elevator pitch, which I'm sure you've done throughout your life in pitching a lot of your inventions. But, if Grommet shoppers are listening, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, run, don't walk. We're just on the brink of cold and flu season starting in the United States. You don't need to be sick. I can't even remember that stuffy, plugged up, headachy feel you get when you get a cold. I haven't had one for so long. Choose to vote for your health with all natural, made in the USA, no chemicals, lasts forever, great value, and give yourself a chance to forget what it feels like to get sick. I guess I'd say that. I haven't even prepared a good pitch, but I truly don't remember, Greg, what it feels like to have a cold. And I'm old. I mean, I'm not a young lady anymore. And I have a lot of friends in my age group. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, and everybody out here is old. And I'm one of the young ones. And none of them they all have my product, and they're just thrilled because they aren't running to the doctor all the time. We can cure ourselves more naturally than modern science has allowed us to believe. And I did a bunch of research on why doctors don't prescribe this. And it all has to do with money. They get paid when they prescribe drugs by certain drug companies. And I'm just not a fan of drugs and chemicals in my body.
It's really cool. What I get to do on a regular basis at Grommet is find really cool, really smart inventors who are trying to find ways for us all to live a little better, right? It's, if you feel better when you wake up in the morning, you're going to have a better day. You're going to have a better attitude. You're going to, be more patient. You're going to have more ambition. You're going to, and when you're not feeling good, you're probably a lousy person to be around. You make everybody around you suffer with you. And so I think that, finding really cool products like yours, putting them in front of our audience is one of the coolest things I get to do on a regular basis, because I know that we're helping people, again, live a little bit better, right? If you feel good, you're going to live a little better today. And that's one of my big personal missions. And so I know you and I've had a lot of fun conversations over the past year or two, and just love everything that you're doing. But I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience here on Grommet. And I know that you've been in a couple different versions of Grommet over the last year and with the new platform, but I would just love a little bit of kind of your thoughts on the new platform, what you've been seeing, and just hear a little bit about how it's been for you.
I'm going to try and tone this down because I don't want to scream real loud, but I love Grommet. I love everything about you. And this is not just because you're here, Greg. Your company and you guys are easy to work with. I'm old. I'm a techno idiot. You guys make sure my stuff gets uploaded right and that my links work right, because I don't know how to do that stuff. You are accessible. I happen to have your phone number. I can call you. I can talk to you. I can call and talk to our customers. I can make sure I can send extra gifts to any customers we want. Usually when we do a Grommet launch, 20 or 50 customers get extra free gifts, and they write back with the most wonderful stuff. We love Grommet. I got to tell you, of all the companies I've worked with in 50 years of bringing products to company, I have to say Grommet's in the top 2 or 3. I probably have to say Walmart's number 1, not because of the Walmart today.
It's okay.
But they started my journey, and I got to be a friend of Sam Walton's. He invited me to his home, and I had lunch with he and his wife. We became friends. And I feel like that's what I have with you, Greg. I know that if I were to visit you or you were to visit me, we would end up in each other's homes having a drink together and just sharing good times. That is so rare that you can find a company that has a real human being and a real heartbeat. And I know that the different people I've worked with within Grommet all know who I am. They know what my product is. When I write in with a question, I know I'm going to get it answered within, maybe an hour at most. I've told so many of my product friends about Grommet. I feel like I need to get my cheerleader pom-poms because I truly love Grommet that much. I can't think of a negative except that I can't have my product in every one of your e-blasts. because that would be overkill. But I wish there were 10 more companies just like you, because you guys make such a positive difference in so many lives. And I feel like when you were introduced to my product, it was carefully vetted. I think you guys really looked at, could I ship? Could we do the quantity? Could we fulfill? And I'm thrilled to say we have not missed one ship date. We have never shipped an order late, and we have never shipped an order that was not complete. I just had a customer order last week, and they let me know that they were leaving on September 30th to go to Europe. And was the order going to get there on time? And it just had been picked up by the post office that day. So I'm hoping, I'm watching. If not, I'm going to send them more product to wherever they are in Europe. There's nothing I won't do to keep a Grommet customer happy, because this is something I learned a long, long time ago. If I make one Grommet customer happy, she might tell a couple of her friends. If I don't keep her happy, she will definitely tell her whole card club, her whole walking group. I just had this happen with some peaches I ordered from Colorado that I paid for in August, and August 11th, they still haven't arrived. Here I am telling you about it. What's up with this company? But so I want every one of our Grommet customers to know there's nothing we won't do for the word no doesn't exist when it comes to Grommet. We love your new platform, and I love your old. I like both of them. I like to play on both of them.
I love it. Well, let me ask you this. I know that you and I have gone back and forth on this a little bit. One of the things we really believe in at Grommet is sending you the customer, right? Which is super important, because you can then send the follow-up gift. You can, sell them more patches or rollers or whatever the case is. And I know you've had some wars with Amazon where you don't get the customers. They can boot you for no reason. They can change your listing. They can, all of these different things. And so I think one of the things that we really care about is giving you that data, giving you access to your own customers, allowing you to have control over your own listings and stuff. And so I'd love just maybe get your thoughts on that for a couple seconds, because that is so powerful for you to have those customers and to be able to talk to them and have that relationship. And it's something that we really value here at Grommet with our brand partners.
Well, it is a huge differentiator from Amazon. And not only do you do the things you just mentioned, Greg, I know very clearly if some counterfeit Chinese knockoff sent you guys a copper roller for you to list on your site, you would say, Marcia, I know I would know, and you would not allow this. Where Amazon will let any counterfeiter violate my patent, violate my brand registry, violate my registered trademarks, and they'll put up counterfeit, shoddy, cheap product from China. And I fight that constantly. Where I know with Grommet, I feel there's also an integrity to the products that you represent and those product creators. And that is a rare thing to find today, is a company who really does care about those of us who are helping build out your business with our products, because it's very symbiotic. I can't survive without you, and you can't survive without a whole bunch of me's. And so I think that the customer experience, I have met customers of Grommet that have become friends of mine now. And we chat about all different things. And more importantly, you might not even know this, Greg, we have a little mastermind group that gets together once a month. They're Grommet sellers. And we all put our heads together and try to figure out how we can make our brands more successful. Kim with Wooden Boards is on our group. Evan's on. Howard's on our group. And so the Grommet family, I invited them into my life so we could all help each other. And now they've become my business friends. And I love that, because we all do learn from each other.
That's one of the coolest stories. And thank you so much for sharing that. It just, again, the community is so deep here, both on the brand side and on the shopper side. And I think you embody both sides of that. You take care of your shoppers and you bring them into your family. You check out other brands and you bring them into your world. And I know you guys have shared like landing page tricks and things like that. Just to, hey, if I win, we can all win, right? It's not me versus you. It's, Howard with ORL Cares. If someone buys his toothpaste, they can buy your roller. We can both have success in this. And I think that's very, very cool to know that that's happening. So thank you for sharing that. As we start to wrap this up here today, to a brand that's thinking about launching on Grommet, that's like, who are these guys? They sent me an email. They said launch on the platform. What would you tell? And I know you've sent us a lot of brands, so I think I know what you're going to say. But what would you tell them about working with us and launching on Grommet?
Well, I'm right now still talking with Larry. You know who Larry might be. And I'm still talking with Shirley and Steve. And I think they're both ready to join forces now. I've told them there is no better platform, no safer platform for a young brand to launch on than Grommet. The inventory control is manageable. The expectations are manageable. The IT that you guys require from us, for me, that was the most daunting part, but I now have partners in place that can do that for me or for any of my other friends or any of you listening. If you can't find someone to design an IT page, have Greg call, have him give you my number. I'll give you my gal. She does a fabulous job and she knows exactly what are the elements that need to be in a landing page. And Greg, I'll tell you one real quick story. When I first got on Grommet, you told me I needed to do a landing page and I did not want to appear ignorant to you. So I was taking notes, landing page. I hang up from the call and what the hell is a landing page? So I Google what a landing page is. And I spent the whole weekend on YouTube videos trying to figure out a landing page. And I didn't want to screw it up. So I finally called you on Monday and I fessed up and said, I don't have a clue what a landing page is. Would you help me? And you sent me 3 examples and you said, study these. By the time you've studied them all, you'll know what it is. And they were perfect. And I did. I then understood it. So I don't want your listeners to think because I've been selling products since the late 1970s and I've had a lot of product success, that doesn't mean I know everything. And I've got as much to learn every week as anybody else, but I am not afraid to ask questions. And that's one of the nice things about Grommet. I have your email address. I happen to also have your phone number. I try not to abuse that, but I will email you. I don't know what this is. Help me. And the answers come back and usually you guys do them in a video form. So you're able to point me to what you want me to see to help me get over my questions. Anyone considering Grommet, there's not one negative that I have found with Grommet, and I would lay it on the line. I would tell you the truth. There is not a negative to having your product on Grommet. Go for it. I love this platform. Love, love, love it.
Well, we love working with you. And just a couple follow-up points on that, just for the listeners here is one, once you instituted that landing page, I know your AOV, average order value, started going through the roof because you were getting people buying 3 and 5 and 10 and people really buying packages. The landing page makes a huge difference in your conversion rate and the amount of money that you bring in. And we're all that's the cool thing. It's it's not a Marcia thing. Every brand that we work with has my email address and they're like, hey, Greg, we didn't get the sales that we wanted. What can we do? And we will get you those answers because we want you to succeed, right? Like we win when you win. And that's a big piece of it. And then right before we hit record today, you were telling me, you were featured in Sunday's email after the launch week and, people coming in and ordering 10 packs, 14.
One lady ordered 17 products. I was thrilled for her. And I wrote her a little note and said, you have got 16 very, very loved family and friend that you want to keep healthy. And I feel that way. And, one of the things that I think has been helpful for the the listeners to know, because nobody knew that copper killed germs, like if you had not heard me talk today, you would not know that antimicrobial copper kills 99.9% of germs. Well, with the format of a landing page, I get to educate the consumer. And that's important for the brands who are looking at this platform to realize the landing page is your voice to educate your consumer while they're reading down that landing page. So by the time they get to the end of it, they know why your product, why the product, why buy it from you, and how many do I want and who do I want to gift it to. So it really takes the scary part of buying out of the consumer's hands, and it allows we vendors to educate your customers as to why our products fit into their worlds. It's a wonderful format.
Yeah, love it. Education, so important. Marcia, this has been an education, almost a masterclass in product development, in perseverance, and in finding simple solutions to everyday problems, from sidewalk chalk to StayWell Copper. If you want to learn more about what Marcia is up to, obviously you can head on to the Grommet, hit that search bar and search for StayWell Copper, or head over to StayWellCopper.com. Marcia, I love our conversations. Thank you so much for doing this today. And I wish you nothing but the success. I hope you just continue to crush it in Q4 and all through 2024 as well.
Anything I can do to help any of you, Greg knows how to reach me. I'm happy to. I love what I do. And all thanks to this little guy wanting to earn the money to go to Disney World, my life took a turn that has brought me more joy and happiness, more sleepless nights and headaches, and joy and happiness than I ever could have wished for. So I hope you all get to have the whole Grommet experience. It's 5-star all the way.
This is amazing. Thank you so much, Marcia. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Greg. Have a great week.
Well, if you liked this interview, and more importantly, you maybe want to be our next featured case study who launched their product on Grommet, I've got some great news for you, because right now you can sign up to launch your product on Grommet absolutely free. That's right. There are 0 sign-up fees, and right now we're charging 0% commissions for all brands that launch their product on Grommet. To get started, just head on over to thegrommet.com and click on that button that says Submit Your Product. Go through the application process, and we can't wait to launch your product on Grommet real soon.